we've heard from a ton of people over the last few weeks and months talking about the Denver Broncos and how full the bandwagon is and how many people like them. I think Dan's the first one to call his shot that they're winning this division and ending the Chiefs' reign of being the kings of the West 9 years in a row. I guess at some point that broken clock's going to be right. Yeah, he is the first one to say it's the Broncos, correct? I'm not mistaken.
We've had a lot of people hype up the Broncos, but I don't know if anyone's actually
everyone kind of everyone
is
is like them as a sleeper Super Bowl pick, but no one has. They've all stopped short of saying yes. They're definitely winning the West. They're taking out the Chiefs. They're going to AFC Championship weekend. Yeah, no one's gone that far. Dan, I think it's the first.
That is a tall order, guys. I know I'm stating in many ways the obvious. If you got the Chiefs schedule, let's just hit this before we throw the break here. We'll play some what's more likely, take some phone calls. You take a look at the Chiefs schedule in 2025. Tonight's game is huge because if they lose this one, I know you've been talking about, Chris, that they could start under 500. It could be a big problem for them moving forward. If they lose this game tonight, they're home against the Philadelphia Eagles next week. I mean, right away. If they have trouble protecting Mahomes tonight, then going into the game against Philadelphia, it's the same story. Last year, as we all know, 6 sacks of Mahomes. It was the most Mahomes has ever been sacked in a football game in his entire professional career. Then they're at the Giants, which we all assume is a winnable game, but who the heck knows? They're home against the Ravens off of that. At Jacksonville on the ESPN family of networks on a Monday night. Home for Detroit, home for Vegas, and then they're home for Washington with 3 straight games in Arrowhead before they visit Buffalo, and then there's their first game at Denver. There we go. Their first game at Denver is Week 11, coming off of a bye, and we all know Andy Reid's record coming off of a bye. I would just counsel against everybody looking at this schedule and saying it's tough, and the Chiefs are going to have a tough time navigating it. As you know, I said that they're going to win 15 games again this year, and I choose them to win the Super Bowl. So I guess clearly I'll push back at somebody saying they're not winning the division, despite how well I think Denver's going to play and how improved Sean Payton is going to have them. And we heard from Sean as one of our first guests in our Disney Plus tenure now, back on Tuesday. I'm telling you guys, tonight we're going to see a team that I believe is going to air it out. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about on the broadcast tonight. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in our meeting on Labor Day when we were Zooming with those 3 guys in our pre-broadcast meeting. All 3 of them talked about the accountability that everyone in that locker room voiced coming off of the Super Bowl beatdown. And Andy Reid, Kurt asked him, in that meeting, how do you handle coming off of a Super Bowl loss? He said, I'm just listening to my team. He listened to everybody taking accountability. And that, guys, I'm telling you, we hear about it. You hear platitudes, and you hear that sort of stuff, and you're just like, slough it off. But Andy Reid is the one who actually put some details to it. He talked about how Xavier Worthy on this field tonight is going to have some plays in the playbook. He obviously didn't detail them, but he did allow that it was his fault that he didn't do it in last year's Super Bowl. He took accountability for not giving Xavier Worthy type plays. The quick game, one would think, would have been very helpful for the Chiefs in last year's Super Bowl. He raised his hand in our meeting, and I think the players hear that. He hears what the players are saying, and I think you're going to see the defense for the Chargers get challenged in the secondary, and they're pretty damn stout there. Derwin James is outstanding. He's coming off a career year for sacks, for tackles for loss. But they're going to try and take the top of this defense off, and I know Dan is saying, I'm curious to see if they're going to go sort of old school and stop the methodical grinding gears down the field. They're going to attempt to do that tonight. And I just think it's going to be a different Chiefs team than the one that we saw win 15 games last year. I'm just kind of counseling all that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be calling a different game tonight. Maybe we'll be seeing the grind it out. This is a team that last year led the league in drives of 10 or more plays. That's not what they did back in the day. They have won Super Bowls 2 different ways. I kind of think they dig the old way, and there's Hollywood Brown is back and healthy. Xavier Worthy's going to have some plays in the playbook. Rashee Rice is going to come back by week 7. I think Mahomes is going to air it out. And I think that's good for viewership, that's for sure. Just counseling against this whole end of the Kansas City reign. I know I'm going out on a very, thin limb.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.